Good evening from New York. Only days ago, when opposing President Obama's stimulus plan, Republicans in Congress complained that the stim did not focus sufficient resources on housing. Tonight, now that President Obama has unveiled his plan to fix the housing crisis, in our fifth story in the countdown, congressional Republicans are saying the president has focused too many resources on housing. President Obama tackling the mortgage mess this morning in Phoenix, one of the home foreclosure capitals of the U.S. The plan totaling $275 billion, aiming to help homeowners in two distinct groups. First, about 3 to 4 million Americans in immediate danger of losing their homes, whether struggling with high debt or under the weight of those high-interest subprime mortgages. This program would seek to help them refinance and stay in their homes. The second group, 4 to 5 million more Americans who took out home loans under Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and who now find themselves underwater. That is, the value of their mortgages greatly exceeds the value of their homes. Their loans would also be refinanced. Beyond that, the administration's plan defined more by what it does not do and by whom it does not help than by what and who it does.
It will not rescue the unscrupulous or irresponsible by throwing good taxpayer money after bad loans. It will not help speculators who took risky bets on a rising market and bought homes not to live in but to sell. It will not help dishonest lenders who acted irresponsibly, distorting the facts. And it will not reward folks who bought homes they knew from the beginning they would never be able to afford. So I just want to make this clear. This plan will not save every home.
More than 24 hours before the Obama housing plan had even been released, Republican House Whip Eric Cantor, whose wife is an executive in a banking firm that got $267 million in that intervention, he had already decided he was against this one. In the Senate, Richard Shelby, the ranking Republican on the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, whose lack of oversight helped to create the mess, today complaining that more than half of the mortgage rescue plan is rescuing the wrong mortgages, those of homeowners not at immediate risk of default. Quote, the biggest outrage is that the president's plan actually will use taxpayer money to pay people to do what they are already supposed to do, pay their mortgage. Time now to call in our own political analyst, Richard Wolff. Good evening, Richard.
Good evening, Keith.
The Republicans were all about fixing the housing crisis until it actually came to fixing the housing crisis. I mean, since funding for the vast majority of this plan is going to come out of TARP Part 2, why even voice this opposition? Why not save obstruction for the actual, obstruction part?
Well, I think there is some wishful thinking going on. Most particularly, Eric Cantor seems to wish that he was Tom DeLay, and he maybe need to study what happened to Tom DeLay to figure out how that doesn't end out too well. The situation here is that there is a sort of knee-jerk reaction, which is not a strategy based in anything real. If the Republicans studied what's happened to their poll numbers since they started opposing every economic policy coming out of the White House, they may have pause for thought here. And Shelby's position about the moral hazard of this is stuck in the 1990s. I mean, this is not anymore about what's right or what's wrong. It's about stabilizing this key part of the American economy. So neither on the policy nor the politics of it does the Republican position really stack up.
It's sort of like saying, well, we can't help any bank that isn't about to close its doors and throw the money out the back. The part of the plan that needs congressional approval in this is this provision that would allow a bankruptcy judge to modify, to, as they say, cram down the mortgage payments for homeowners who now owe more than the homes are now worth. How big a fight is that going to be in Congress? Is that stimulus junior?
I don't think it should be that much of a fight, given where Republicans started. Now, as we pointed out already, things have changed for Republicans as this debate has gone along. But bankruptcy judges, everyone has recognized from the first time the Bush administration then was talking about this, they have some expertise. They have a lot of expertise in dealing with the individual economic crises facing families around the country. Of course, they will be swamped by the number of cases this throws up, but they are well placed to do this kind of thing. It doesn't strike me that there's any political mileage or policy rationale for opposing this one.
As we said, the majority of the funding out of TARP Part 2, in doing that, was the administration hoping to avoid the ugliness that was its its attempt at bipartisanship with the Republicans in Congress?
Well, it's hard getting extra money for anything related to TARP, and not just because it's a ridiculous name, but it smacks of helping big banks. This piece of TARP money doesn't help big banks really in any direct way. There's some indirect benefit, but it's about keeping people in their homes. Obviously not the people just about to foreclose, but they're trying to catch people just before that point. Politically, it isn't going to be for the fat cats. And I think, again, the politics of them should be with the administration. But again, we're living in this strange world where the Republicans think there's mileage in saying no to it all.
The change in the Obama strategy in terms of detail on this, the administration gave out so much detail here, it was almost hard to comprehend it, much more than Secretary Geithner did when he announced Part 2 of TARP. Should this also be filed under, things we have learned so far in the first 30 days of an administration?
Yeah, well, they should have had way more detail, or not put Secretary Geithner out there. But look, the details of this plan are really specific when it comes down to the kinds of debt-to-income ratio that people will qualify with. I mean, they've analyzed this a lot. There could be debate about whether the number should change slightly or not, but there is a lot of detail here, and full credit for them for putting together a plan this quickly.
MSNBC's Richard Wolff. As always, Richard, great thanks.
Thank you, Keith.